Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about what if Deku was a vampire slash werewolf. So in the last video, Deku, apparently, there was a girl that attacked Izuku in, the UA Sports Festival. While in the fight, Izuku basically, he got stabbed by, this metal rod. And while in the fight, Bakugo basically, leapt over there and basically, sacrificed herself to, get stabbed by, Alice's, rapier. And because of that, she died. Izuku became mad and basically started charging in at Alice, basically ripping her apart. But thankfully, well, All Might saved Alice at that time and also told Izuku to stop doing that because, Bakugo wouldn't want to see Izuku doing that. So, Izuku turned Bakugo into a vampire. Then after that, they started going to school as Izuku sees Alice again. But this time, it's their classmate now. Izuku hated that. So, yeah. So, the day had ended and now they're going back to the dorm. So, let's talk about what happens next. So when they started going back to the dorms, Izuku sees, Alice putting up her dorm room, as Izuku thinks, "Ugh, that bitch." As, well, Bakugo says, "Hey Izuku, you don't really need to get really mad at her. Besides, I'm still alive." Izuku says, "But what if she tries to attack you or me again?" As she says, "Don't worry, Izuku. And besides, the police are basically watching her now." Izuku says, "Fine, Bakugo." So, when they started going back to their dorm room, Izuku decides to, go to sleep, including, well, Bakugo. As she says, this feels weird being, a vampire now. Izuku says, "Yeah, you get used to it." As she says, "Get used to it." Izuku says, "Yeah, being born as a vampire slash werewolf, well, it has some challenges, but I'm pretty okay now." As she says, "Oh, okay." So yeah, so when they woke up, they started going back to class as they're going to be picking their hero names, and they're also going to be, joining an agency. So Izuku finds a great hero name while everybody is basically, telling their hero names. It's Izuku's turn. Izuku says, I am the hero of the darkness. I am pure justice. My name is Alucard." As they say, Alucard, as one of them basically, one of them is Kabanari, basically says, "Wait, Alucard, is that the name of a vampire?" As Izuku says, "Yeah, my uncle Alucard." As they say, "Uncle," Izuku says, "Yeah, now everybody knows that I'm a vampire and a werewolf." As they say, "That makes kind of, well, kind of makes sense," says, Momo. As Todoroki says, "So, do you have a, how do I say it? Do you have like a grandfather or at least anybody in your family called Dracula?" Izuka says, "Oh yeah, the first progenitor." As they say, "First progenitor?" Izuka says, "Yeah, one of the first vampires. Apparently he made a deal with the devil to become immortal, but in the process turned into, well, a vampire. The first vampire, in fact." As they say, "Oh, okay," says Mina. So, yeah. So, when they're picking their agencies, Izuku decides to join Hawk's agency because, Izuku wants to, learn some brand new flying techniques. So, Bako also joins Hawks because, she wanted to join with Izuku because, she wants to stay with Izuku because, she's in love with Izuku. So, when they started going to, Hawks' agency, Bako says, "Izuku, I didn't know that you decided to join this agency. Izuku says, yeah, you too. Besides, you don't really have any wings. As she says, well, I have a explosion quirk, so I can technically fly. As Izuku says, okay, wait for a second. Also, guys, if you guess this song right, I want you to comment down below for a what if. If you get this song right, you can just comment down below and pick a what if that you wanted to see. Like for example, if you guess this song, well, right, this song over here in the video, you can pick like a any what if, like for example, what if Deku had the seven deadly sins powers, redo or something like that, because well, I already had a seven deadly sins series already, but just guess this song and you will get your what if submitted and I will make it. So guess this song. So guess this song and put it in the in the well in the comments. I'll give you a hint. It's from a game I like. And also, well, it starts with Ursona and starts with the letter P and ends with Ursona. So yeah. So Tutulu. So Bakugo asked Izuku, so why you decide to join this agency? As Izuku says, learning how to do some more flying attacks. So while they're talking, Izuku sees Alice. Izuku says, Alice. As Izuku starts growling a little bit. As Bakugo says, Izuku, you don't really need to, don't really need to be this mean. Izuku says, fine. As Izuku says, damn Alice. As Alice looks at Izuku as she says, hello, vampire, werewolf, disgusting chimera creature. Izuku says, shut up, you damn freak. As she says, what did you say? Izuku says, you killed my family. You're nothing but a monster to me. As she says, at least I'm not an actual monster. As Hawks arrives, as he says, so you're my recruits. So, the name's Hawks, the number 3 hero. Izuku says, nice to meet you. Wait for a second. So, Ox says, hey, you can just do, patrols for now. As Hawks leaves, so Izuku starts patrolling the city with, Bakugo and Alice. As Alice says, so, Izuku says, what is it? And she says, why did you, said back in the, um, Izuku says, speak up. As she says, fine, why did you save that, save Bakugo from, from me? And why did you said that she was your first friend? Izuku says, well, she's the one that, well, well, unlocked, or at least, took out, took off the sword, and now I forever serve her. As she says, really? So, as Zuko says, what is it? As she says, well, my parents. As Zuko says, what about your parents? As she says, well, they don't really believe in the vampire, or at least, monsters anymore, because it's been so long, so they thought those are just old legends that, my grandparents would always say, but I knew better. As Izuku says, so you only want to destroy me because, you wanted to show your parents. As she says, yes. Wait for a sec. So, she says, so, Izuku. As Izuku says, what is it again? And she says, I'm wanted to ask you this. Would you be my, Izuku says, be my what? As she says, fine. I wanted to ask if you wanted to marry me. Izuku says, what? As she says, well, my mother, she wanted me to have a boyfriend, including my father, so if I were to marry you, it would be a win-win, I guess. I would stop fighting you, and you would, well, have a wife, I guess. Because I look beautiful, right? Izuku says, no. And she says, what? Izuku says, I'm more in love with somebody else. And she says, what? Izuku says, I keep telling you, I'm already in love with somebody else. I'm in love with Bakugo. And she says, really? Izuku says, yeah. Besides, your family just killed mine. So, why would I ever listen to you? As she says, fine then. As Izuku says, what is it? As she says, well, my family, it's been abusive lately because of my grandparents basically telling them to basically, go back to their roots, being monster hunters. Izuku says, pretty shitty. And also, by the way, what the hell is your quirk? As she says, oh, right. My quirk is basically, this. She starts sprouting out, angel like wings as her eyes, or at least one of her eyes, turns, into a golden color. Izuku says, so you have some sort of light manipulation quirk or something? And she says, yeah, sort of. So, when Izuku starts, going back to, Bakugo, she says, so, what you been talking with, Alice about? Izuku says, nothing. As she says, oh, okay. As she says, Izuku, I wanted to ask, tells Bakugo. As Izuku says, what is it, Bakugo? As she says, can you tell me how to, transform into a bat? Izuku says, yeah, it's pretty easy. Just think of, something you want to transform into. So, Bakugo starts transforming into, not a bat, but instead, into several bats, like a swarm. As she says, whoa, this feels weird. I feel like I'm being separated but still being connected. Izuku says, yeah, that's how a vampire does it. Or at least just a lower level vampire. And she says, this is so awesome. Izuku says, whatever. So, Izuku is basically walking around with, Bakugo and Alice for a while as they finish their patrol. So, it's been happening like that for like a week until it's the last day of their internship where they see several villains destroying the city as Izuku starts charging in, saving every single civilian in the town or the city as Hawks basically starts saving some other other civilians, while Alice and Bakugo are basically calling for some backup. As Izuku sees well some more villains, including another villain. Wait for a sec. Izuku sees Konigiri, basically telling all of these other villains to basically attack the city, while beside him is a girl with blonde hair and yellow eyes. As she says, alright, Konigiri, alright. Now, I want to find that boy by the name of Izuku Midoriya. As he says, right. So, he basically teleports right in front of Izuku as Izuku gets knocked out by, some serum. But before Izuku blacks out, Izuku sees the girl. As Izuku says, who are you? As she says, your new wife. The name is Himiko Toga. Good night. So, Izuku falls to sleep. So yeah, so I hope you like the video. Comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. So if you guessed that song, well, you get a one of your what ifs created by me. So yeah, Tutulu, bye.